the internet of value at Ripple, we're thinking much bigger than just cross-border payments. It's kind of like Amazon with rare books in the early days, just this market happens to be a $10 trillion market.
We are at a historic turning point.
Said in the past that you are doing for money what email did for communication.
Moving the whole revolution forward. There's trillions of dollars parked around the world. XRP.
Is there a possibility that Ripple could take over Swift one day?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Turf Script. Let's get right in today's video. I had to dig deeper, and thank God we did. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode. This is a secret weapon, the Bill Gates Foundation. I know many of you guys may say it's not a good thing, but you got to take a look at this roster that they have built. We went deeper than last time. The Mojaloop Foundation. Their mission is to increase financial inclusion by empowering organizations creating interoperable payment systems to enable digital financial services for all. And their roster is going to be one of the most highlighted things in this video. Take a look at Robert Ron, for example. Robert Ron has been with the Mojaloop Foundation for 3 years, and he's also the Chief Financial Officer at PortX. I've said this in my previous videos, how high reputable individuals are going over to other companies and their companies are utilizing XRP and RippleNet technology because these guys are educated and they jump ships to other infrastructures that will be leveraging Ripple because Ripple is going to connect them all together. Ron, member of PortX, and PortX is a part with Ripple. By joining Ripple's growing global network, financial institutions can process their customers' payments anywhere in the world instantly, reliably, and cost effectively. And here we are, a perfect example. Okay, so he's a member of the Mojaloop Foundation and PortX is utilizing Ripple. It gets even better because Konstantin Peric, how did they land this individual? Konstantin had worked at Swift. He was also the chief architect of SwiftNet, the backbone worldwide secure network currently connecting 8,000 banks. And the biggest takeaway from this is that Konstantin Peric joined Swift way back in 1990. This guy's an antique, and the fact that the Mojaloop Foundation has him on his roster is huge. And in this video, you guys are about to see the secret weapon of Ripple and its digital asset XRP. Sponsor members of the Mojaloop Foundation include Bill Melinda Gates Foundation, Google, Interledger Foundation, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Ripple, and the Rockefeller Foundation. This is such a closed, gated community, but this is a very, very powerful members that Mojaloop Foundation have accumulated. And they're keeping it small. I wonder why. I really wonder why. Subnindu Mohani, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Chief FinTech Officer. You got to take a listen to this. Ripple is big in Singapore. It looks like a lot of action is happening in Singapore. And the video evidence I'm about to show you is going to completely shock you of what the end game is looking like. Singapore regulator praises leaders of crypto firms like Binance, and they even went to go mention Ripple and Crypto.com. And if you guys recall, just yesterday, Singapore among world's first to agree stablecoin crypto regulation. I wonder why it's moving so fast down there. And then here we have, this year, Brad Garlinghouse right here, and Mr. Sopinto Mohani on the left side of him. And they were talking about regulation. And take a listen to this clip by Augustine, okay? Augustine Cartine, so I call him BitBoy 2.0. Take a listen to this clip about unified ledgers. And then take a listen to what Sopinto Mohani said. This is huge. Listen very carefully, folks. You can't make this stuff up. And keep in mind, in this video, this was done back on February 22nd, of this year, which means just a couple months ago, Ripple was added to the task force for the BIS Innovation Hub for cross-border payments interoperability. Okay, here we have Ripple, the one and only crypto solution company that's a part of this task force. And listen to their language. This is absolutely massive.
To this end, we propose a new financial infrastructure, a unified ledger. The ledger, which in practice would resemble a network of networks, would allow for seamless transactions between digital money and other tokenized assets on a single programmable platform. As we discuss in the chapter, this could greatly increase the efficiency of existing financial transactions, deliver instantaneous payment settlement, and to unlock entirely new economic arrangements. The vision that we propose is ambitious, and it won't be assembled overnight.
I think taking both the question, Augustine, I mean, if you look at today's architecture, today's technology platform, which is decentralized platform, today we know how to program money. We know how to write smart contracts. We have many examples of tokenizing assets, may not have scaled at a very subscale level. What you're really putting an argument here now, which will be a huge undertaking, and I'm sure there's a role for private sector to play here. Somebody has to build this open, I presume, open source operating system. A lot of fundamental foundational coding has to be done to build this platform. What role you think private sector will play? Because to both Ivan's question and Sumit's question, I think ultimately the burden of building this open architecture programmable ledger will be given to the private sector to build. I can't imagine how a public sector will build this kind of, there's no example today globally where a public sector has built an operating system on which apps can be developed. Somebody has to build this open, I presume, open source operating system. A lot of fundamental foundational coding has to be done to build this platform. What role you think private sector will play? Because to both Ivan's question and Sumit's question, I think ultimately the burden of building this open architecture programmable ledger will be given to the private sector to build.
The potentially fast and wide adoption of a global stablecoin, potentially a global currency governed only by the incentives of a private company,
will be given to the private sector to build,
is something that will deserve and will receive the highest level of regulatory expectations,
And then just going down to breaking down the roster even more, take a look at Ashuma Ruda, right? As you guys could see, he's been with Mojaloop Foundation, and previously he was the product leader for APAC and India for payments. Ripple is massive in India. This roster is stacked. Gets even better. Miller Abel. Take a listen to this guy. He's been OG with the Mojaloop Foundation. This was a tweet back in 2018 from Miller Abel. We are partnering with Ripple and Coil to implement the Interledger protocol to explore ways Mojaloop can support pro-to-poor payment systems. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate every single one of you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. You really can't make this stuff up. The timeline from what Augustine said and to the July task force that they put together, it's shaping up to be a very, very bullish outlook for the XRP community. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another video. By joining Ripple's growing network, by joining Ripple's global...
We started building RippleNet with the thesis that crypto liquidity would eventually be able to support robust global payments, large payments. RippleNet was designed so that customers seeing the benefits of our fiat-based network could flip the switch to ODL once the market was mature enough. And this is exactly what's happening. Flip the switch. think what we're building has, it's solving a real problem. And I think all of the tokens, my advice to anybody would be, understand the utility. If there's real utility and there's real value being delivered to a real customer, there will be value in the token.